Rockstar Gang, what up? What up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
Another one. I appreciate everyone in here. Happy Friday, fan discussion Friday. So, guys, make sure feel free to get any questions or topics you may want to talk about. I've already got topics made up for you guys today. We're definitely going to be talking about the state of the Panthers, changes needed. Carolina Panthers need help with or without Stephon Gilmore. We also already got some people in the Discord who put in their Friday fan discussion questions already, so we'll get to those. And then, of course, we're just going to shoot the shit today, man. Just talk about some Carolina Panthers football, as always. So, of course, if you're new here, my name's Clay. Live every single day, Monday through Friday, posting NFL content, Carolina Panthers content, day in and day out. So I appreciate everyone joining. So state of the Carolina Panthers. It's gonna be a fun one. All right, let's go ahead and get to the fan discussion questions. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's get into the Discord. All right, so we already got one here. Neo Shadow comes in with, which, by the way, Neo, I will be messaging you today about something. What do you think about our 53-man roster, and what will it look like, and how many wide receivers, so on? Like, I think we'll have 4 running backs, 6 to 7 wide receivers. This is a tough question for me to answer, honestly, Neo, and here's the reason why. Because since we have first at the waiver wires, it's hard for me to say. Honestly, it's hard for me to say where we're going to be at, right? It is. It's hard for me to say where we're going to be at because I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what our roster is going to look like due to the fact that, again, we have first on waiver wire, so there's no telling who's going to. There's literally no telling who's going to be on this roster, right? There's no telling who's going to be on this roster. And to be honest with you, I really can't say. I think because of the waiver wires. Now, if you want me to just answer who I think would be on the roster right now without the waiver wires and everything, that's a different story. So Neo, if you're watching, I can't say who I think is going to be on their 53-man roster and what it'll look like right now because of the waiver wires. Like I but if we were going based off, so I mean, here I'll just go ahead and do it this way though. If we're looking at this roster, and you want me to give you right a synopsis who I think is going to be on the 53-man roster. Well, let me get out of there. To answer your question, Neo, I don't like that one. I think the 4 to 5 4 I don't know what that is, but all right. I think if we're looking at this roster, all right, from this standpoint, right? I mean, obviously, I think that Bryce Young, Andy Dalton are going to be here. I think Jack Plummer. I think Jack Plummer is going to be a guy that's probably not going to be on this roster. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Jack Plummer is going to be on this roster. Oh my God. ESPN is killing me here. Holy smokes. What is going on today? Hold on. Sorry, guys. My shit. I don't know what's up with my computer. I got a brand new Mac, and this thing has been slower than snail shit. I might have too much shit downloaded on this thing. Might need to go through my shit and delete some stuff. Damn, that hat's fire every time I see it. I appreciate that, Marcos. All right, so I'm getting into Neo Shadows thing here. I want to get to its roster by position. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let me sign in here. Dude, get the fuck out of here. All right, Neo, I'm going to get to yours here. All right, so we're going to use PFF instead. All right, so Neo, if we're going at this, hold on. I need to move myself out the way. No, let's go bigger here. There we go. All right, so Neo, if we're looking at the quarterback positions, right? Quarterbacks. They don't have Jack Plummer on here, but that's okay. So Neo Shadow for the Fan Discussion Fridays. If you're just joining in, he asked, what do I think the 53-man roster will look like? And how many wide receivers and so on. And he goes, because he thinks that there's going to be 4 running backs and 6 to 7 wide receivers. Well, I think Bryce Young and Andy Dalton are for sure shoo-ins at the quarterback position. I don't think Jack Plummer is going to make the roster. I think they'll find someone else. I still believe that they want to add a veteran still. To the wide receiver position, this is nuts, man. I think guys that already are shoo-ins for sure is obviously Thielen and, of course, Deontay Johnson. I think it's definitely going to be Leggett. I think Jonathan Mingo will still be, so that's 4. I'm probably going to take Terrace Marshall Jr. and Amir Smith-Marset. And I think if they go with 7, it's going to be, of course, Jalen Coker. I don't know if Dawood Davis is making this team. I don't know if Sam Pinkney is either. I think David Moore's out. I know that he's got familiarity with Dave Canales, but I just don't see them keeping David Moore. I just don't. Even though he's got familiarity. So, all right, halfbacks. I think it's Chuba Hubbard. I really do believe this. I think it's going to be Chuba, Miles, Rashad, and Jonathan. I think Blackshear is going to be put on the practice squad. I think Jaden Sheridan might even be put on the practice squad as well, and Mike Boone. I think Jaden Sheridan's more talented than Raheem Blackshear, though. That's just me. So if we're going off of halfbacks, I think it's those 4 guys for me. Tight ends, I think it's Jadavion Sanders, Tommy Trimble, Ian Thomas, Steven Sullivan. I think they keep 4 tight ends again. I do. Even though Jordan Matthews has been apparently lighting it up, I see those as being those 4 guys again. If we go to the center position, I don't know if they've updated this roster on here for us to have a center, but no, it doesn't look like it. So we'll go to the guards. Obviously, Corbett, he's going to be the center. Chandler Zavala is a left guard. He's not a right guard. But I think it's going to be Damian Lewis, Brady Christensen there at the left guard position. Maybe Christensen transitions over to the center. I'm not too sure. I know he's getting reps there. I think training camp's going to tell us a lot about our offensive line and where guys are going to be positioned at. I think so. I think a lot of guys are going to be positioned, through that. Damn, guys, we have a small group today. Very small group. But yeah, I think Austin Corbett, definitely center. I mean, and then of course, if they do that, then you got Andrew Rom or Rame that could be in there for that center position. I'm not too sure. Landry Wiggins comes in and asks me, is there any position group you would consider above average, top 16 on our team? I'll get to that position. I mean, honestly, you could say the offensive line might be top 16. I mean, it just depends how it all pans out, right? I mean, if Ike Ekwonu can bounce back and Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt live up to the hype, Taylor Moton's been the rock on our offensive line. And if Corbett transitions to the center, you could be looking at a top 15, top 10 offensive line, I think. But I think I'm not going to say that group is going to be until I see it on the field. Yeah, I mean, Corbin and Icky worry me too, Landry. I mean, they definitely worry me. Let's see, tackles. I think Goshman, Icky, Taylor, and probably Ricky Lee. Probably Ricky Lee are going to be your tackles. Cornerbacks. I would say it's DiCaprio. It's probably going to end up being JC, Troy Hill, Dane Jackson, Charles Smith, Wade, Willie Drew, and DiCaprio Boodle. At that point, and then Deshaun Jameson. I mean, it might come down to Deshaun James. I think Willie Drew is going to make this team. I think he's good. I think he's very underrated. I don't think a lot of people are talking about Willie Drew enough. Safeties. I mean, Nick Scott, Jordan Fuller, Xavier Woods, Sam Franklin. Those would be my three guys at safety, or two guys at each safety position. I mean, Jamie Robinson, I don't know if they're going to keep him. I don't, this guy hasn't done nothing since he's gotten here. Linebackers. I'm probably going to go Shaq, Josie Jewell, Trevin Wallace. I'm trying to think. Maybe Tay Davis, maybe Chandler Wooten. I mean, again, I don't know. It's tough for me to say where these guys are really going to be positioned at. Guys, make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Please feel free to do me a favor. Make sure you share the live. That would help me out a lot. All right. It would help me out a lot. So I appreciate that. I mean, Camus, Gruger, Hill, I'm pretty sure is, yeah, I mean, these are the linebackers. Did we lose Kamuger? I think he was decent last year. I think we did lose Kamuger Hill, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was a free agent. I think our D line could also be a top 16, honestly, because of I think O'Shawn's is going to be a big time addition. Shy Tuttle, if he can bounce back. Nick Thurman stepped up a couple times last year. Of course, you got Derek Brown. Edge defenders. I mean, you got, I would say it's Kavlon Jason, DJ Wanham, Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Johnson. Probably Iku Leota probably would be out here. Maybe Cam Gill. I mean, this guy, Cam Gill's got some decent number or he's got some decent PFF gradings here. Besides coverage, but pass rush, run defending, he's good. Barna looks like he gotten better. But Tania Shadow, I mean, it's hard to say who the 53-man roster is, to your question though. Jen came in with another one, so let's move on to the next fan discussion. If you would remove any players from our team, who would be your top 5 to go and why? Right now, if I had the choice, Jen, my top 5 players to remove, I would probably say I would remove Miles Sanders if I could, right? But if I could without taking a major hit to our cap, right? Another person I probably take too. I mean, probably Jamie Robinson. I mean, the guy hasn't done nothing. He hasn't proven anything to me. I think Sam Franklin has had more production, and I'd rather keep Sam. I mean, unless they move him to corner and see if he does well there. You know what I mean? Because he did play some corner when he was at University of South Carolina, but I'd probably say Jamie Robinson. Ian Thomas for sure. Ian Thomas is the number 1 on my list, probably though. Number 1 on my list to remove from this team, top 5. Definitely would probably be Ian Thomas. I mean, again, the NFL is all about what have you done for me lately? And what has the Ian Thomas done for the Carolina Panthers for us since he's gotten here, right? But again, Miles Sanders. Let me see who else. Let me think of somebody else. I'm just trying to think of people who are just a waste of space. No offense to some of these people. I mean, part of me even says maybe even Terrace Marshall, but I'm willing to give him a chance, but I feel like he's had multiple chances. I'm trying to think who else. I'm trying to think who else I would get rid of for a top 5. I mean, yeah, Shy Tuttle's another one. And probably, I mean, we also, there could be guys, like, even if there's guys that, haven't played. I mean, hell, I probably even say Eddie Pinheiro is in my top 5 because I don't think no offense to Eddie, you really haven't done anything to think that you deserve more money than what you got. Right? You know, yeah, I mean, I think there might even be more than 5 guys, honestly, now that I think about it. And who would I replace those guys with? I'd have to go out and see who's available in free agency, Jen. That's tough. It's hard to say. Who would I replace those guys with? I'd try to go out and find, if we're talking and you're talking about top 5 to go, it's like, well, I could pick 5, Jen, I could either pick 5 players that might even not even make this team, right? But unless you're talking about 5 players that are starters that I would get rid of, I'd have to really go through that list. I mean, really probably be Shy Tuttle, who's a starter. Miles Sanders. I know he's not a starter, but he's kind of a rotational starter. I'm trying to think who else. Probably Eddie Pinheiro, because I don't think he's worth the money. I mean, if we're talking about starters, I don't know. That's a tough question, Jen. There's a lot of guys on here I'd probably get rid of than maybe just 5. But that's neither here nor there. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to some of the topics I want to talk about. So, guys, if you have any more topics you want to talk about today, feel free to post them in the chat. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. Post them in the chat, or again, you can join the Discord and post them in there. All right, you can post them in there. So, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream today. Make sure you pound that like button. Gilmore's getting on my nerves. Well, here's the thing. I want to talk about this whole Stephon Gilmore thing and this is the last time I'm probably going to talk about it because I really wanted to just nip this in the bud. I want to nip this in the bud and get this out the way because I think a lot of people need to understand this because I feel like we've got Panthers fans out there that still want Stephon Gilmore here. And don't get me wrong, I think he would be a great addition, but again, we're not getting the 28, 26-year-old Stephon Gilmore. We're just not. But we're heading into training camp now, and we have glaring issues on this team that are extremely thin at the cornerback position. No matter how you slice this up, guys, you can't patch up every hole in one offseason, especially when you are in that position that the Panthers are in. This offseason to me marked the first phase of building a competitive roster around your quarterback, right? They went out again. It added those top tier offensive linemen, right? New weapons in the passing game, couple of running backs. They revamped a proportion of the starting defense. But next offseason, they're going to have to focus on ironing out the remaining sore spots the following year and should be able to fill out this roster with some quality depth pieces, I think. And they might still be able to fill some holes possibly with the waiver wire, but we shall see. Because, again, guys, depth is going to be an issue in year 1 under head coach Dave Canales. And that, to me, is to be expected when you undergo this much change, right? Though that one spot that's feeling the most right now to me, though, is still the cornerback position, right? Still the cornerback position. Look up at my penny question. What were you asking? Oh, okay. I see it here, Matt Chatter. What up, Clay? Is Penny better than Sanders or both washed up boomers? I think Penny might. I think it depends. I think Penny, if Penny can stay healthy, he'll be better. He'll be better. And he's going to be used in the short yardage situations. But I think Miles Sanders, he's got something to prove just as much as Penny does. Can Penny stay healthy? And can Miles Sanders thrive in this new system? Right? I agree. Right? J.C. Horn is our number one when he's on the field. But that's the problem. He's not on the field enough. So this is the trend that may change starting in 2024. But history isn't on J.C. Horn's side. The Panthers brought in Dane Jackson, who started 28 games over 4 years with the Buffalo Bills. And then in 2022, his only season as a full-time starter. Jackson had some solid numbers. If you go look it up, he had like 57 tackles, 12 passes defended, 2 interceptions. So it wasn't a bad year. But Jackson could turn out to be a hidden gem, but banking on him heading into this season with an injury-prone J.C. Horn as your top corner is risky at best. Right? I mean, we got to be honest with ourselves. Right? We got to be honest with ourselves. Right? I mean, behind Horn and Jackson, we just looked at the depth chart, right? Behind Horn and Jackson, okay? Behind Horn and Jackson, y'all see this, right? Even though Deshaun Jameson's not on here, but okay. I think this group right here, to me, looks about as exciting as watching paint dry. I'm going to be honest with you. DiCaprio Boodle, even though Deshaun Jameson for some reason is not on this list, Deshaun Jameson, Lamar Jackson, and Willie Drew, which I have high hopes for Willie Drew. But these names don't exactly scream lockdown corners. Most of these guys are practice squad level guys trying to stick on a 53-man roster. So you look at over the past several months, the Panthers have been in contact with Stephon Gilmore. There's been that possible reunion. Jadeveon Clowney's made all these rumors. It's been relatively quiet on the Gilmore front for quite some time. Don't be surprised if he waits until August to find his next home. His former college teammate, Jadeveon Clowney, and a few others might try to recruit him back to Carolina. But at 34, you'd assume Stephon Gilmore wants to sign with a contender. And even Gilmore signs elsewhere, the Panthers must find another veteran with starting experience to pair with J.C. Horn. There are a few options remaining in free agency. We've looked it up. Xavier Howard, he's got like baby mama issues. Adoree Jackson, and some other guys. But players will be released or exposed to the waiver wire during the preseason. So I think Carolina has, we have first dibs in the waiver wire order. So you can bet they'll be aggressive when a corner or two pops free. But, we've had cornerback issues for the longest time, though, I feel like. Because we've had so much that went wrong and we never really fixed it. Right? To say that we've had a cornerback, what's the word I'm looking for? Okay. To say that we've had a cornerback problem is an absolute understatement. Okay? It's like bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. J.C. Horn would be a knight in shining armor, but he's more like a knight in shining bubble wrap, always on the bench or on the sideline, injured. And I hate to say that because I'm such a JC Horn fan. But we can't hope that we can't put all our hope in Horn and that he remains durable through 2024. Hope isn't a strategy, right? I think Dane Jackson, right, does bring some stability, but banking on him turning into an all-pro is like betting on a dark horse in the Kentucky Derby, right? He's shown flashes of potential, but we need more than just potential. They need proven reliability. The rest of the squad, well, it's a bit like assembling a band with one rock star and a bunch of roadies. DiCaprio Boodle, Deshaun Jameson, Lamar Jackson, Willie Drews. Again, no offense, they don't really strike fear probably to opposing quarterbacks. They're more likely to be a fodder for highlight reels than to make them, right? I think the Stephon Gilmore thing is still a gamble, though. You know, Gilmore returning to Carolina, it's almost like a subplot worthy watching. You know, he's a former defensive player of the year, could provide much needed veteran presence, but let's be real. Gilmore isn't getting any younger. So at 34, he's more like Yoda than Skywalker. Okay. Wise and experienced, but is past his prime. So if Gilmore decides to chase the ring elsewhere, you're going to still need to find someone who can step in and step up. And I still believe, even if you go out and got Stephon Gilmore, I still think you're going to need some help. You know, I know we got training camp coming up. Players are going to be cut. Decent corners might hit the waiver wire. We have the first pick in the waiver order. So that does give us a crucial edge. But we're going to have to be ready to pounce on any corner with a pulse that has at least a decent resume. Addressing the cornerback position is critical. I will say, I'm not opposed to signing Stephon Gilmore because the more depth, the better. But Carolina, I think this is one of the position groups. If we don't at least get somebody with a decent resume in here off the waiver wires, we better go after somebody next offseason because, you know, I know we're going through this massive rebuild. The road to recovering this long disaster that it's been basically become, but you got to be smart. You know, there's a lot of this comes with smart moves, but a lot of this comes with a bit of luck, right? I just hope that they in the waiver wires, their first pick is a corner, because I still think that this group needs to be fixed. All right, guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on new content. And of course, as always, become a member and join the Discord for free. Feel free to join the Discord for free. Feel like we haven't seen a lot of guys in here lately like we used to. So, I don't know what that's about. Don't know what that's about, but it's all good. All right. Let's move on. Austin Corbett, an underrated center. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? because I feel like they're all in on Austin Corbett as their new center already, right? Yet a lot of people think that he seems to be flying under the radar just a bit, right? He's transitioning right from the right guard to center. It did raise some I think it definitely raised some eyebrows. Definitely also sparked some intrigue, right? But I still believe it's a bit of a gamble on taking Austin Corbett and transitioning him to center. I instead of drafting a center in this past draft, they basically pushed all their chips on the table, and I should say to the center of the table, no pun intended, literally, by moving Corbett, right? They're starting right guard for the past 2 years to center, right? PFF came out and ranked him as one of the 20th best center in the league, which is actually just 2 spots behind our former center Bradley Bozeman. That's really not too shabby for a guy who's switching positions, right? Now, I will say Corbett has that history of versatility, right? And that's kind of been his secret weapon throughout his whole career, right? He spends most of his NFL career as right guard, but he's no stranger to the center position, right? He came out and even said that he was a starting center going to the Super Bowl a year back in 2021 through training camp, and then he ended up shifting right back around. But he says it's still nothing new to him. So basically, Dan Morgan's trusting this transition. He made it a priority to fix the offensive line this offseason, right? The fact that they haven't brought in a center with NFL experience as a backup plan speaks volumes about the confidence in Corbett. So if Morgan didn't trust Corbett's ability to anchor the line, you bet your bottom dollar he would have made a move in free agency or the draft. I thought they would, right? I kept telling you guys they got to get a center in the draft. They got to get a center in the draft, and they never did, which I was surprised by that. I was so surprised that they never went out and got one, right? I was so surprised by that. Seriously was. I thought that they would go out and get one, but they didn't. And I'm not sure why that is. Really, I'm not sure why that is. Why they didn't go out and get a center. But they didn't. They didn't. Hold on, I'm fixing something here for you guys. I got to fix something later here. But anyways, so being ranked by 20th by PFF, I think is pretty respectable, especially considering the fact that Corbett hasn't really played center full time until basically now, right? There has been this case though to be made that he could be a fringe top 50, 68.4 overall grade over the past 3 seasons. Corbett has proven he can handle his own. His experience, versatility, his football IQ kind of does suggest that he might outperform his current ranking once he settles into his new role. Right? What you say, Mad Chatter? We in what's called the dead zone for sports until mid-August. I know. I know nobody lately. No one's been watching my live streams like they used to. It's been I'll be honest, I've been dead these past couple live streams compared to what it used to be. So Mad Chatter, I'm not surprised, but I'm gonna keep grinding, man. I'm gonna keep grinding. So, but y'all can do me a favor. Make sure you just pound that like button, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. But we got 6 people watching on YouTube, 6 people watching on Twitter, 1 person watching on Twitch. So, guys, do me a favor. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. That's the best way you can show your support to the channel. But okay. But there is a case to be made for this guy to maybe a top 15, right? He has a 68.4 overall grade over the past 3 seasons. He's proven he can hold his own. He's got the experience. He's got the versatility. The football IQ, I suggest that he might outperform his current once he settles into his new role. And really, the only true other center on this roster, or actually the really only true center on this roster, is Andrew Rame, the undrafted free agent we got out of Oklahoma. I'm interested to see how he pans out. This is a depth chart that could be concerning, but it also does highlight how much faith this team has in Corbett. The coaching staff, the front office, I believe he's the right man for the job. So far, they're sticking to their guns. The final thing here is that Corbett's move to center might seem like a gamble, but it's a calculated one. I think that his history of versatility, again, combined with the Panthers' confidence in him, does suggest that he should exceed expectations. Let's just see if he delivers. But that's just my thoughts. We need good team scraps. On a serious note, if the team even make the playoffs, is a W. Yeah, I know. I would say for me, like if you're looking at that poll question, by the way, we've got 17 votes, but only 9 likes. Make sure you pound that like button. There's no reason why we shouldn't have 17 likes. I mean, if we got 17 votes, there's no reason why we shouldn't have 17 likes. So make sure you pound that like button. Playoffs. So you can't talk about playoffs. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I got to say about playoffs. That's not happening. Okay, that's just not happening.
Bruh.
That's just not happening. If we're looking at that poll question, I'm going show progress. Just show progress, right? Just show progress. All right, let's move on. So these things that need to change, and then we're going to get into what y'all came in here to talk about, and that's the Carolina Panthers state. Okay. But these things need to change in Carolina. Yeah, you heard the bruh sound effect. These things need to change. Okay. And I'm going to give you these things that need to change. First off, as you see, I have Austin Corbett up there. All right. We were just talking about him. But it's not just about Austin Corbett. It's about the whole offensive line coming together. That offensive line is the unsung hero of any football team in the NFL. The offensive line is. For the Panthers, it's more like an unsung strategy. The 2022 season, they showed a glimmer of hope with some continuity. The 2023 dashed those dreams with injuries. Brady Christensen, Austin Corbett, it left our offensive line in shambles, right? You bring, Dan Morgan, who now has been this being our new GM, he went out and was like, listen, we've got to shore up this offensive line, spending over $200 million on that interior. And these new signings like Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, both under 30 in their prime, the Panthers are looking more solid there. Christensen will now serve as a versatile swing tackle. While we all know Corbett's transitioning to center, this shift could bring much needed stability. Now on the edges, you got Icky and you got Taylor Moton. All right, those guys are key there. Icky, after a rocky second year, I need to see him to go out there and refine his technique. Moton, always been that reliable guy. He remains one of the team's best assets. I still kind of wish that they would restructure his contract, but health and depth is going to be crucial. So if the Panthers keep their line intact, Bryce Young might finally have the protection he needs to shine. The owner needs to let football guys make the football decisions. I mean, I think so far he has. Rock Hill thing still pisses me off. Yep. It could be the best practices and training center extravaganza. I know he could have had that, but he chose not to, Mad Chatter. Why do we do this, Clay? His leg will not make it in one game. Again, that's to remain to be seen, Mad Chatter. It's the same thing that we could say about a JC Horn, though. If we're talking about Austin Corbett, you could say the same thing about JC Horn. Can he stay healthy? Another thing is they tighten up the run defense. Now, we know Derek Brown has been that guy, right? But that still needs to be tightened up. That's something that definitely needs to change here in Carolina, right? That run defense, if the Panthers' run defense were a car, it would be the one that sputters out of control, just as you're pulling onto the highway. So in 2023, they ranked in the bottom half of the league. They allowed over 122 yards per game, crumbling crucial moments. Opponents were averaging a staggering of 7.2 first downs per game just on the ground. So to me, that stat alone screams for change, right? Derek Brown, despite a stellar season, he struggled with the two-gap system. I will say that. I mean, Derek Brown did great, but he still struggled in a two-gap system. Now, Shy Total, Deshaun Williams, they couldn't hold the line. And then leading to a late season surge from Nick Thurman. Recognizing this, Morgan finally made some strategic signings. They brought in guys like O'Shawn Robinson, an edge setter in Jadeveon Clowney, Josie Jewell to replace Frankie Louvu, run defending defensive backs Jordan Fuller and Dane Jackson. Those guys are actually pretty solid on the run. Evero has that piece. He has pieces now, more pieces in depth, I would say, to be creating more formidable run defense, at least when you look at it on paper, right? I will say that some of these new additions should help plug the leaks, but the real test will be in execution. And if the Panthers can minimize the big plays and maintain gap integrity, it'll be much harder to run over. Another thing, we need to use the tight ends more. I want to see them use the tight ends more. I want the tight ends to get more involved. We haven't seen this tight end group since Greg Olson's departure. Nobody has stepped up. Tight ends have been about as threatening as a teddy bear at a tea party, man. Ian Thomas was expected to fill Olson's shoes, has yet to even been close to showing any potential, let's be honest. The guy's got brick for hands. Great run blocker. Not a great pass catcher. The signing of Hayden Hurst in 2023, glimmer of hope. But he's off to LA. So we have, it leaves us in a familiar tight end limbo. But then you go out, You still got Thomas, but then you got Tommy Trimble, Stephen Sullivan. You draft Jadavion Sanders, which was I think Jadavion Sanders is going to be great. I think he's actually going to work out. But even though this is not an ideal situation, there is potential. I think Dave Canales is known for showing his creative offensive scheme, should be able to utilize the strengths of his group. Thomas has shown promise in the offseason activities, Trimble's athleticism, red zone paralysis should be good. It should be undeniable. Sanders, with his versatility and his receiving skills, should be a wild card. I think they need to get their tight ends more involved in this pass game, right? This will not only aid Bryce Young's development, but also add a new dimension to their offense. So if they can tap into that potential of this group, I think that's going to be a game changer. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You go look at all the teams last year who made the playoffs. One of their top performers, one of their top players, was the tight end position, right? You go look at each one of those teams. Go look at their tight end and tell me who they are, and tell me that their name does not stick out because they actually perform on the field, right? You go look at those playoff teams last year. You know what I mean? So, that's another thing that's got to change. I want to see more involvement in the I want to see more involvement in the in the tight end group. Another thing that needs to change. Bryce Young's got to elevate his game, right? This is the cornerstone of any football team in the NFL. And in Carolina's case, you got a young talent with a lot on his shoulders. His rookie season was mirrored by a shaky offensive line, limited playmaking options, did show flashes, but he also has a lot to work on. He needs to elevate his games, right? I feel like Young's tendencies drift in and out of the pocket has narrowed his throwing lanes, given pass rushers a field day. He needs to improve his pocket navigation to give his linemen a fighting chance, make a better use of his time to throw. His arm strength isn't elite, but it is accurate. Quick decision-making can make up for it. I think that's the reason why Dave Canales has been harping on the 2.7 seconds. Young has to learn to balance his playmaking instincts, okay? When it comes to taking what the defense gives you, right? Forcing plays has been a problem. But you got an improved supporting cast. He can afford to be more patient. The Panthers have literally bolstered up this roster with new playmakers and fortified this offensive line, right? Creating an environment where Young can thrive. The stakes are high for both Young and the Panthers. If he can step up, it will not only solidify his role as the franchise guy, but also set the team's path forward to success a lot easier, right? So I would say those are the areas I need to see change in. I need Bryce to elevate his game. I want to see them leverage the tight ends more. I want them to tighten up that run defense, and I need to see continuity with the offensive line. Let's see. I really like Jaden Sheridan. Chris Worthy, I like him too. I just don't know if he's going to make the roster, man. I just don't know. Yeah, he's the running back, undrafted free agent out of Monmouth. His tape looks good. He looks really good. Oh, damn, I hate when that happens, Marco. Most improved position, linebacker. What do you think, Clay? I would say the offensive line, if anything. If we're talking about the most improved position group on this roster, I would probably say the offensive line and the wide receiver room for sure. Yeah, the undrafted running back. Yep. All right, we're at the top of the hour here. We're at the top of the hour here. Let's talk about the state of the Carolina Panthers. Let's talk about the state of Carolina Panthers, because Panthers fans, members of this organization, those still kicking themselves for not trading Brian Burns instead of DJ Moore, it's been a rough ride. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because we shelled out a small fortune for a franchise quarterback, right? Because year one, let's be honest, with Bryce Young, it felt like waiting for the punchline that never came. The kicker here is that the 2024 first-round pick you traded up ended up being Caleb Williams. I mean, time machines aren't a thing yet, so we got to focus on the future. So can the Panthers rebound? I think let's break it down real quick. Okay, let's look at this roster reshuffle. Okay, look at this roster reshuffle. So you got Dave Canales. Hold on. You got Dave Canales, head coach. Dan Morgan, general manager. You got your new offensive coordinator. Still got the same defensive coordinator, Tracy Smith. Over there, these are the key additions. Then over here, you can see the key departures, and of course, the draft picks. Right. So the draft class: Leggett, Brooks, Wallace, Jadavion Sanders, Smith, Wade, Cromartie, Barrett. Right. Additions: Penny, Johnson, Nishman, Hunt, Lewis, Chasen, Clowney, Robinson, Jewell, Jackson, Fuller, Griffin. Departures: Chark, Chenault, Hurst, Gabe Jackson, Bradley Bozeman, Deshaun Williams, Brian Burns, YGM, Camus Gruger-Hill, Deion Jones, Frankie Louvu, CJ Henderson, Dante Jackson, Von Bell, JC Horn. Right. So Dave Canales, head coach. Let's start with him first. Right. I'm going to let you guys know this. I love the Canales hire. We needed a fresh approach after the Matt Rule, Frank Wright experiment. That didn't pan out. Canales worked with Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. That should give young supporters some optimism to what he did with those guys. Plus, keeping Evero was a hell of a move, right? I still harp on the Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, the offensive guards, right? Bringing those guys in. Last season, Young was sacked 62 times, second only to Sam Howell. So fixing the offensive line was obviously a no-brainer for Dan Morgan. Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, two solid veterans in their primes, brought in to protect your quarterback, right? Kudos to Dan Morgan for obviously addressing the glaring need. Jadeveon Clowney, you're basically replacing Brian Burns with him, right? A guy who's an 11-year vet. I will say it's a bit of a gamble, but adds some credibility to our defense. Clowney isn't the every down player Burns was, but his 9 sacks in 2 of the last 3 seasons show he can still disrupt. The Panthers, I think, seem content focusing on the offense this year, and honestly, I'm here for it, right? But if we're talking about this, let's talk about the quarterback, all right? Let's address the biggest thing in the elephant in the room, okay? Bryce Young's rookie season was horrendous, all right? When you look at Bryce Young's PFF grades, it makes you wonder if Jimmy Clausen is coming out of retirement. But let's be real. Even C.J. Stroud, I still think, would have struggled with this offense last year. I think comparing Young's potential in a revamped system under Canales is to his atrocious rookie year is like comparing apples to, well, really bruised apples, right? Give Young one season with a competent offensive line. You got some actual weapons before we hit that panic button. Okay. I think one of the most important things we need to point out is Deontay Johnson and Xavier Legette. I mean, you're doubling down here. Deontay Johnson, you get him out of Pittsburgh. Rookie, you get Xavier Legette. That was crucial for the Panthers' offensive resurgence, right? Johnson might have not been a touchdown machine in Pittsburgh, but he's a solid receiver. He's a guy that's going to get open. He's got if he's not number one, he is, though, based off of next gen stats. He's basically the number one wide receiver getting open in the NFL, right? He actually might be behind Justin Jefferson. He might be number two, but I have to look at that again. Right. But you take a look at 32. He has the potential to leapfrog Jonathan Mingo for that wide receiver 3 spot and make significant contributions on this offense and possibly special teams. I think another thing is we need to talk about Jonathan Brooks real quick. I think of Jonathan Brooks almost like Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay. I'm tempted to drop him early on, but don't. I think Brooks is going to recover from that ACL injury back in November. I think he's going to be eased in slowly before his injury, he was putting up like Christian McCaffrey-like numbers over there in Texas. So I would say to you guys about Justin for Jonathan Brooks, patience. Okay. Patience. Okay. A couple another thing is that we need to talk about here too is there's some key dates to keep in mind. Week 1 against New Orleans Saints, that's a chance for you to silence the doubters right out the gate. Week 5, that's a grudge match. Every Panthers fan will be side-eyeing the Bears all season. And then I would say week 17. Ending the season with back-to-back road games against division rivals is brutal. It's also a chance to make a statement. So the primary goal this season is to determine if Bryce Young can thrive in this Dave Canales system. It's not necessarily a make or break year, but showing competitiveness, winning some games, that's the huge step forward. This season is all about progress and finding out if our investment in Bryce Young will pay off. That's the way I'm looking at it. That is the state of the Carolina Panthers. That is the state. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Oh, Vietnam, what's up, man? What's up? What's up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. And of course, become a member today. Join the Discord. It's all for free. So I'm open to some more discussions. I'm open to some more discussions. If you guys want to discuss anything, I'm going to open up the chat for you guys. Creator demographics. No. Vietnam, I'm about to finish this thing out, my friend. I'm about to finish this thing out. Just depends if people have any more like topics or questions they want to ask for me to answer. Wonder if anybody posted on the community chat, and just want to make sure I didn't miss any on that. I got one. How far does Bryce have to throw it for fans to stop saying he's got a weak arm? I don't know, man. It's funny that you say that. Honestly, I don't know. Obviously people don't watch. I guess they don't watch his game film from last year because he obviously every ball he threw when it was a deep ball pass was overthrown. It was never short. It was always overthrown. So, it is what it is. When are they going to stop doing it, Phaeton? I'll say he stops doing it when they'll stop doing it when he actually makes a nice deep ball pass. And it's got to be more, I would say it has to be 40 plus yards. Right? Like out of the air. But you don't really see that anymore, man. You really don't. You don't see that in the NFL anymore. You don't see guys, you don't really see a lot of 40-yard passes. If they are 40 yards, it's like a quick slant and the guy kind of goes. Like I feel like it's mainly the short to intermediate routes that you end up seeing go for the 40 yards. Right? Or the 50 yards or the 60 yards. Right? Week 1, it's going to happen. I hope so. And I hope it's right to Xavier Legette. Because that's going to probably be the guy who, I mean, it depends if he obviously gets the wide receiver 3 spot and beats out Mingo for it. So. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off of here. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. We've had a lot of the stream lately has been small. I haven't seen a lot of people in here. Zach Rappaport hasn't been in here. AJ Brooks, the Call King, Flames for Jesus. I haven't seen those guys in a while. So I haven't seen a lot of people in a while in here. So stream has gotten it's the off season, so I don't expect everybody to come in here. But it's all good. It's all good. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button, hit the subscribe button, click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Become a member today. That also helps out. And of course, join the Discord. So everyone, have a blessed weekend. Have a great weekend. I'm going to hop off of here. I appreciate y'all. And as always, guys, keep pounding. Peace.